Welcome to the Word for 2022. Today we're looking at another instructional psalm, Psalm 46. This psalm talks about what we need to do in times of trouble, when we're feeling overwhelmed, when we're feeling helpless or weak. David begins this psalm by saying in verse 1, God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in time of trouble. Those words, an ever-present, that means immediately, right now. God is saying, I'm there. Someone today might say, if you need help, you can count on me. I'm there. That's what God is saying when he's saying an ever-present help. So, David again begins by saying, God is an ever-present help in time of trouble. When we're in trouble, he wants us to know that God is there and that God is aware of everything that we are facing and feeling. But then he says in verse 2, therefore, or because of that, because God is an ever-present help, therefore we will not fear. That means we're not going to panic, fret, worry, or doubt, even though, as David then paints a picture, the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam and the mountains quake with their surging. David is giving an image of nature in upheaval, but he's saying that when my world is falling apart, I am not going to fear because I know that God is an ever-present help in time of trouble. As you're reading this psalm, then you'll see that word Selah. That means to pause, to think about what you just read, to meditate upon it, to contemplate what it's saying. Let it sink deep down in. When your world is falling apart, David is saying, God is there in the midst of it, so do not fear. The next verses, David gives a picture of Jerusalem being attacked. In verses 5 through 7, Jerusalem is under attack. But David says, God is within her. That means he's in the midst of the storm. And then verse 7, God is with us. God is in you, and God is with you. Therefore, don't lose heart, because you know that in the midst of the storm, whatever it is, the attacks that are taking place, God is with you. The next picture that David gives in verses 8 and 9 is that of a battlefield. Whenever we go to places where a battle has been fought, that demands a quiet reverence, remorse, and a remembrance. Just like Pearl Harbor, or the beaches of Normandy, or Gettysburg, places of hallowed ground where men lost their lives, where a battle was fought, you have to be quiet when you're there. David then says in verse 10, be still and know that I am God. Be still. In the midst of battles and attacks, in the midst of turmoil, adversity, and upheaval, David is saying, be quiet and still before the Lord. Don't panic, but rest in God's strength. There's an old hymn of the church written by Martin Luther based upon this psalm, Psalm 46. It's entitled, A Mighty Fortress is Our God. In that song, and if you have the opportunity to look it up, read the words, because there Martin Luther clearly says that God is our helper in the midst of a flood of moral ills and satanic attacks. But God's truth abideth still, and his kingdom is forever. Psalm 46 is a great reminder of what to do when we're under attack, when we're feeling overwhelmed and helpless. Don't worry, because God is in you and God is with you. So therefore, do not fear, because God is an ever-present help in time of trouble. Thank you for joining the Word for 2022.